In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a fast, easy, and sweet fat bomb recipe. Coming up next. What's up, everybody? So I get asked all the time, where I see posts around the internet all the time asking about fat bomb recipes, and I want to show you one today that's not only really fast, but it's easy and it's really sweet. So it'll help you with your that sweet craving after dinner time. Now I'm going to have the recipe listed for you down in the description, but what you're going to need is you're going to need a cup of coconut oil, you're going to need a cup of almond butter or another one of the nut butters that you might pick. You're going to need a third of a cup of cocoa, and you're going to need a half a cup of Swerve. Now the whole thing is, the great thing about this recipe is it's so easy and quick, but it's also pretty much customizable. You can do whatever you like to it. If you want to add, if you like yours tasting really nutty, you're going to just add some extra nut butter. If you like just really sweet, I mean this one here is going to be fairly sweet, but if you like it just crazy sweet, add some extra Swerve. And the same thing with the chocolate. You can change it or alter it however you want to make it fit for you. One other thing you're going to need is need to be one of these kind of silicone little, I don't even know what they're called. You bakers are going to know. I am not a baker by any stretch, but I do love making this recipe. So, but you're going to need one of these little silicone molds. This one here has 24, and this actually works out perfectly for this recipe because it pretty much fills up each of these. And so you can find this around Amazon or something really cheap. But you're going to need something like this if you want to be able to have these measured out equally in equal molds. All right, so let's dive in. First thing that we're going to want to do is get a cup of coconut oil. Now, this stuff solidifies at room temperature. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put this in. I'm using a large measuring cup for this just because it's easy to kind of mix everything together once I get it all in there. But we basically just need to get a cup of this stuff in, and we're going to pop it into the microwave. This stuff melts very quickly in the microwave. In fact, it melts just below room temperature actually, so you don't have to heat it up very much. But we are looking for a liquid consistency of this. And once you get this done, it may not be perfectly clear, as you'll notice here when it normally gets completely melted, but that's okay. Once you start adding the other ingredients, it's going to blend just fine. Once we've got our coconut oil all melted and ready to go, we're going to go ahead and add our nut butters. The nice thing about almond butter is it's actually quite a bit more liquid than peanut butter is, and so you shouldn't have too much of a problem getting it out of here. Almost just pouring it in like I'm doing here. And again, I don't mind almond, but I'm not a huge almond lover, so I don't usually go over the recipe on this one here. But we're going to go ahead and just take this and literally just dump it right into our oil mixture here. Next thing on the list is our cocoa. Let's go ahead and add that. I experimented with this in the beginning, where I started off with actually quite a bit less than this, but ended up adding a little bit extra of a tablespoon. Now I used to do tablespoons. I think I did like 5 tablespoons, but found that just adding like kind of a heaping third of a cup really does help to make this really nice. So as you can see, I'm not doing any crazy precise measuring here at all. I do not mind if this is a little bit more chocolatey. Last but not least is our sugar replacement. Now, like I said before, I'm going to go ahead and add a half a cup of this. I've seen other recipes online where they have you put 1 or 2 tablespoons. I did that, and I literally just felt like I was taking a tablespoon of oil when I was eating it. I did not like it. So for me, I upped this a little bit. I'm going with a half a cup. It actually seems to work out really well for me. It's sweet, but it's not crazy sweet. But honestly, once you get the mixture all done, I would encourage you to just taste it. See if you like it. If you don't, add a little bit more sugar or sugar replacement to it, and get it to where you like it. This is for you, and it's supposed to help you. Don't just make it how you see it, and if you don't like it, you're gonna have to choke it down. Make it to where you enjoy it, and it's gonna really help you in the long run. It's not quite there. I might add just a tiny little bit more than this. Now the fun part. We get to mix it all up. Now I would recommend probably utilizing a mixer for this, but seeing as how I didn't get this out and ready before I started shooting this video, I'm just going to go ahead and do it by hand. It's fine to do it by hand, but as you're going to see, you're really going to want to mix this up really well ahead of time, because you're going to have a lot of lumps in there, and those are lumps of sugar in most cases, and biting into one of those, while it's not horrible, it's also not the greatest experience in the world. So we're just going to go ahead and mix this up until we try to get as many of these little lumps out of here as possible. And as I said before, if you have a mixer, a hand mixer, that's probably going to be the best thing that you can use to get this thing fully mixed. Also a really good workout if you haven't had one for the day. As you can see, this is a pretty good consistency here right now. It's still fairly runny, and that's okay. That's kind of how we want it. This is going to set up just fine. Remember that our base is the coconut oil and that it gets solid pretty much at room temperature, so it's not going to take a whole lot to make this solidified. But as I said before, you might want to just taste this, just make sure it's the way you want it beforehand. Yep, that's exactly the way I like it. All right, so we're ready to pour this into the mold. Let me just tell you that obviously because this thing is so floppy, and as you can see how liquidy this mixture is, you're gonna wanna put something on here to base. So I just usually will throw this onto a cookie sheet. Helps me be able to set it into the freezer without having any problems. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just start filling these up. Now, as you can see, as long as you fill these things right up to the rim, you're only going to be left with probably a little bit of stuff down at the bottom that I didn't really want to put in there. There's just some very unappealing stuff down there. So we're just going to leave that out. It's actually just little bits of sugar that I didn't quite mix up, or some little bits from the almond butter, so it's not that gross. But I don't want that on top of these. Our last step at this point is to just put everything into the freezer. Generally, I would say as long as you leave it in there for about 4 hours, you should be just fine. Once I get these things all set up, I'll come back and show you what they look like when we're all finished. Okay, everybody, so it's been about 4 hours, and I don't think I needed quite that amount of time. In fact, I checked on them at about 2 hours, and they were setting up really, really well. But I let them sit in there a little bit longer, just to make sure that they were all the way frozen. So at this point here, we're just going to pop them out of the mold so that we can see how they turned out. So what we're left with here are these nice little inch by inch little cubes of chocolatey goodness. And so what I would recommend, throwing these just into a container of some sort and keep them in the freezer. I wouldn't necessarily keep them in the refrigerator. Since they have a base of coconut oil, they will get soft fairly quickly unless you put them in the freezer. So I'm just going to see how they turned out. Yeah, it turned out really good. So hopefully this has given you a quick and easy way to get some fat bombs to help you get your macros leveled out, or to help you with that sweet tooth. If you're new to my channel and you enjoy content like this, I would really encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Once you click subscribe, click on that little bell notification. That'll make sure you get notified anytime I put out any new content. If you wouldn't mind, like the video, and consider dropping a comment down below. If you've got some other kind of fat bomb recipes that you've would like to share, or ones that you've used in the past that have really helped you out, love to hear about them. So I want to thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you next time.